Okay, so this is a lesson for Year 11 Inequality, and now moving on to ethnic inequality, a couple of lessons on that. And we're going to start off by a topic that's not actually directly addressed in the textbook, but I think it's important for us to get our heads around this, is the difference between race and ethnicity. We're going to learn about these concepts, race, ethnicity, and we're going to understand why one is useful and one is useless. Race is a completely useless concept for us in sociology. By doing that, hopefully, you are thinking. Keywords are Caucasian, Asiatic, Negroid, Mongoloid. These are the four main racial groups often used by scientists, certainly in the past, perhaps not so much today. Caucasian, white, Asiatic, people from India, China, Negroid, black, Mongoloid, people from the far north of Asia. Genetic, obviously DNA, that sort of thing. Culture, what that is. Minority, majority. Minority, less than half. Majority, more than half. Subculture. Caribbean, obviously Caribbean Sea. Pakistan, Bangladesh, India, Sikhs. White working class. It's about that at the end. Now, let's start off with the idea of race. The idea of race first became sort of common currency about 150 years ago with the first scientists looking into this sort of thing. And they decided that there were different races of humans. There were white people, we were the best, the cleverest, the most developed. Africans, black people, they were the least developed. They were the stupidest, the strongest, the most like animals. You had various Asians, Negroids, Caucasoids, Mongoloids, Asiatics, and it was like a league table of different types of humans, with obviously white at the top. People like Chinese were next. They were clever, but they were cruel. That was what everyone said. There was something in their genetics that made them cruel. And down to black people, who were little more than monkeys, really. So that's where the idea of race came from. And it's a completely bogus idea. It doesn't exist. It has no basis in science. We are one race, Homo sapiens, the human race. Yet we have very minor differences. In fact, what we have are ethnic ones, which I'll come to in a minute. So this idea of race is a rubbish idea. Most of these so-called differences are usually to do with melanin. As an example, melanin is the pigment in human skin. If you are white, you don't have very much. If you're black African, you have quite a lot. It is a natural sunblock. That's what it exists for. And that's the main thing. We have differences for that. We have minor facial and hair differences. But we are genetically pretty identical. Our DNA is almost identical all over the world. That's why we can have mixed race children. If we weren't the same genetically, you couldn't have mixed race children. But because we are the same genetically, our DNA is also similar, you can have mixed race children. So from a sociology point of view, the whole idea of race is rubbish. It's bogus. What is used instead is ethnicity, which is cultural. Different ethnic groups. Yeah? So you have different languages, different clothes, different food you eat, different music you listen to, different ways you do things. This is your ethnicity. It is nothing to do with your biology. So in Britain, we have these ethnicities. White British, white Irish, Indian, Pakistani, Bangladeshi, other Asian, Black Korean, Black African, blah, blah, blah. And they're ethnic groups. They're not racial groups. The best example of that, I think, is when people who are Asians in this country. Indians, Pakistanis, Bangladeshis. They're all very different. They have different languages, different religions, different cultures. You know, Indians and Pakistanis are not the same ethnically. So in sociology, we use the word ethnicity. It's a cultural word, not a biological word. And in Britain, what we tend to have are ethnic subcultures. So Asian people of Pakistani background all live together in a certain part of town. Afro-Caribbean people live together in a certain part of town. Around here, places like Thornheath, start from Brixton down to Streatham to Thornheath, Afro-Caribbean people. Yeah. In East London, you have Bengalis around Brick Lane. In West London, Southall, you have Indians. Ethnic subcultures. In that area, you fit in, you have certain sorts of clothing shops, certain sorts of food shops, and that you become an ethnic subculture. You're mostly the same as us. Same language, different accents. Yeah. And over time, what tends to happen is that these subcultures integrate. That means they start to fit in more. The word we often use, multicultural. People from all different ethnic subcultures slowly over time tend to become British. It's happening quite slowly now because our new subcultures are often non-white. They don't fit in as easily. Whereas in the past, Irish, Polish subcultures, 20 years, and their kids are fully British. They are completely integrated. Talk about that more in class. Yeah. Is this new? Well, yes and no. The no is the main one, really. Britain, the history of Britain is a history of migration, from Huguenots to massive Irish migration. Most people in this class will have Irish ancestors. Yeah. So no, but yes, in the past 60 years, we've had non-white groups, and they have much more trouble integrating because they look different. Yeah. Polacks, Irish, like I said, give them 20, 30 years, and their kids are fully British. If you're African American, if you're Afro-Caribbean, if you're some sort of Asian, Pakistani, Bangladeshi, if you're a Sikh, you're always going to look a bit different. And that's a new thing. And finally, for this bit, developments. Culture never, ever stands still, ever. So, for example, we have lots of Afro-Caribbean people moved to this country in the last 50 years. Their accent has changed. The sorts of music that comes out of that community have changed. It used to be reggae, now it's things like this. It used to be a thick Jamaican accent, now it's not. And it's actually become very powerful. Think about it. You go into the playground, you close your eyes, you listen to people speak, and quite often you have no idea if they're black or white. Integration's happening, and new subcultures are developing all the time. Okay?